Storytelling is a powerful tool, shines light on important issues in society, including disabilities. We welcome back Sara Krupnick to have an honest conversation about the challenges involved with the disabled community. Sara, welcome back to the spotlight.
Hey, Bobby. Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Look, I mean, it's incredible. It's obviously we're friends in real life, and you've been on the show before. You're a two-time Emmy winner, right? Like it's incredible. Like you're one of the people that I brag about. Oh, I know her, and the woman with like the 8 statues. She's holding, Um, but it's interesting. And I just want to stay light for a bit, but you've actually had struggles too that I'm not sure a lot of people know about. So okay, let's start there, and we'll get into it. Can you actually tell us about
Sure.
your health challenges?
Yes, of course. So, you know, ever since I was a child, I was always suffering from weird illnesses, and no one really kind of like put it together. And then right before I turned 30 years old, I became debilitatingly ill. And it took a long time to find out that I was actually born with most likely Mast Cell Activation Syndrome, which is called MCAS, which is used to be classified as a rare disease that they now think 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 Americans might have, and it basically turns you into bubble girl. Like I became allergic to everything, and it's an invisible disability where people don't know I actually have it unless I tell them.
Right.
So yeah,
I and I look, I remember, we had hung out at your apartment once, and your partner was preparing all these meals and everything, and it was so complicated, like all the different things that you had to, and I was like, oh, this is like a real thing that like impacts your life, and
yeah.
I couldn't even imagine how you do that, and you're like also so incredibly successful. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like, so, like, how have you dealt with these challenges with your career?
When this happened to me, I was like, oh, it's just another thing for me to produce. It's like another
Mm,
full time job for me to make sure that I make my whole life safe for me. It's
mm,
like, it's not just food, it's also everything in the environment, it's
mm.
chemicals, it's fragrances. So it's just, I always like, I'm a little bit of a control freak. So it worked out in my favor, right? Because
Right.
now I just have to honestly be in control in as much as I can to make sure that I can be safe and go out in the world and be functioning. And Bobby, honestly, I consider myself extremely lucky because there's a lot of people that have this disability and they really can't leave their homes. And
Mhm.
at one point, I was really ill, and it took quite a long time for me to get to the point where I'm at now that I can go out on set, can travel on an airplane, can like go out to concerts. So it took a lot of work to just be quote unquote seemingly normal. So
Right. Look, I just think you're such an excellent spokesperson, right? Because also you're like so successful, but people don't see those struggles. So, you've talked a bit about it, but like specifically, like what would you say to people who would be like how like I have this, I have something similar, I have a challenge, like
yeah.
how did you overcome your struggles? What would you tell them?
You know, the first thing I did when I realized what I had and what I was going through is I reached out to the community, right?
Mhm.
So I joined a bunch of different groups on Facebook of other people that thought they had this illness or were diagnosed with this illness. And that honestly became the group and the community that helped to lift me up through all of this. And now to give back, I will also tell people if you suspect you have this, or you know someone that might, please give them my phone number and I will make time to speak with them. Because in the beginning, I felt very alone and very scared. And back in 2019, when I realized I had this, a lot of people didn't have it. And like I said, now they think 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 people has this. So I just try to be an advocate for this disability to help bring awareness. And I don't want anyone to feel as alone as I did when this first happened to me. It's very terrifying.
Right. Look, we got to go to breaking in 30 seconds, but
Yeah.
so would you say that community is overwhelmingly the main thing that helps?
Yes, just knowing you're not alone and having other people to reach out to, and you use that network to find out doctors you can go to or other people within that community that can like I said, like build you up. And again, it's just all about feeling like you're not alone in this, and it will help you
Mhm.
get through so much.
I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of your story and this episode. And I can't wait for the next 3 segments with Sara Krupnick on the Spotlight. Welcome back to the Spotlight. I'm here with Sara Krupnick. Okay, Sara, it's interesting. Like you do so much. I'm convinced that there's 11 Saras, and I'm not sure which one this is. But okay, so I wanted to start this whole show with your health challenges. Plus, you have 2 Emmys. Not bad, right? And you're so young, which is crazy. But also, you're making films as a producer. So let's talk about some of these films. So with your health background as inspiration, tell me about these films that you're making.
Yeah, so I have 2 projects right now currently in development that are about rare diseases, chronic conditions, and MCAS. And one of them is a documentary project called Zebras Defying Rare. And I really want to focus on, what it's like when you find out you have these conditions or suspect that you do. And I want to speak to celebrities that have these conditions as well. And again, just bring awareness and advocacy. And I want people to know they're not alone and there are people you can reach out to, and to just see other people thriving with these conditions and still living their lives and kicking butt. That's what we need to see, right? So
Mm,
that's Zebras, the documentary. And then through all of my challenges and struggles, it was really cathartic for me to create a narrative work of fiction. So I wrote my first feature, and that is called
mm,
Hello Darkness. And that's about a young woman who, after receiving a life changing diagnosis, a chronically ill young woman diagnosed with MCAS, discovers her lifelong sleep paralysis demon is real and is in major need of her help. And together they embark on a surreal journey through the underworld. So that's my scripted project that I'm working on as well. And I think both of these projects are going to shed a wonderful light on these conditions and just show people that the resilience in the disability community
mm.
is it's amazing, and I am like really proud to be a part of the community and just show people how to just thrive and live your everyday life. And we're just regular people. Honestly, that's all we are. And that's what anyone in the disability community will tell you is like, we don't want people to pity us. We want you to see like we're awesome and we kick butt and, look at us go. That's
Right.
just like motto.
Look, I will say, that metaphor in that screenplay is very powerful. It's like I see it as like a Guillermo del Toro sort of,
Yes.
like it could be super visual and powerful, simple, but people, I don't metaphors are very powerful, especially in the visual medium of filmmaking. Okay, let's talk about community. You keep mentioning community, which is really nice. And so, I guess my question is about these films that you're making. Like, how important is it for people in the disabled community to see themselves reflected on screen, to have these stories told sort of like by the community, for the community, and other people watching?
You know, this is the only way we're going to be able to change the narrative in not just in film, but just like in our everyday lives, is to see people that have these different conditions, like I said, just going about their everyday lives because we want to get rid of the stigma that comes along with disability. So that's why I wanted to write this story because in this woman's journey of realizing she has the disease, she literally has to like journey through the underworld and hell. And that, like you said, is a metaphor. That's literally what I went through to get to where I am today. I had to pull myself up out of the darkness of thinking like, oh my God, is my life over? No, like here I am now. And I'm just like a warrior who went through all of this. And it's honestly made me a better person as well.
If I was like a Hollywood executive, I would be like, okay, I got it. It's like the Odyssey, but with disabled people. Yeah, okay, we made 1 billion. I'm in. I, I think it's gonna work out. Okay, look, we only have a minute left. Obviously, I'm just playing around. What other films do you got going on? Like, what are your goals? Like, is everything sort of based on the disabled community? Do you have other projects? Like, what are your goals with your filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my slate isn't just based on the disability community. I also have a music project I'm working on that I can't speak too much about publicly yet. And then I have a true crime project as well. So, like I have a very diverse slate of projects, but I always want to make sure that I also touch on those other topics that are very close and near and dear to me. And the True Crime Project is a wonderful project that focuses on a strong female character. So that's another topic that I obviously want to make sure I put more out there into the world.
Yeah, look, and look, I know you in real life, right? I mean, you really are a positive person. You're doing things for the right reasons. It's interesting too because you've got 2 Emmys. You could just end every sentence with that. Well, I have 2 Emmys and you don't. You know what I mean? But like, you really, I don't know. I think you do things for the right reasons and for the community. It's important. We've got Sara Krupnick for 2 more segments on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Sara Krupnick. Okay, Sara. Look, I could talk to you about 11,000 different topics, especially soccer too, because I really was impressed by like how good you are at kicking the ball. But let's stay on topic here a little bit because I think this is an important episode thematically, and I really want to talk about the challenges for the disabled community, and let's talk about solutions, right? Because I did a lot of sort of multicultural activism, really for a couple decades, and I always found the struggles similar, but sort of like idiosyncratic. So let's talk about this, the disabled community. What is needed, in your opinion, to improve opportunities for the disabled community in the film and television industry?
So I spoke on this topic back in April. I was one of the guests at the Real Abilities Film Festival in Manhattan, which is
Mm,
actually the largest film festival for the disabled community. And I said, what we need studio heads that are disabled, department heads that are disabled, and more producers that are
mm,
disabled. And that's going to open the door to way more opportunity for disabled individuals in front of the camera and behind the scenes. So, that is something that I'm definitely focused on in my career. I would absolutely love to be a head of a studio one day
mm.
because I do want to make change in Hollywood. And even if I can change it this much, that's like a ton in my lifetime. So, that's a huge focus for me.
Okay, so is that something that you're actively looking to do? Like, are you specifically looking to sort of gain a position where you can sort of like help up other people in the disabled community? Like, is that part of your mission?
For sure. So
Mm,
I have my own film company, Cerulean Films, where I spoke to you about the projects on my slate.
yeah.
But I'm also open to a role again at a studio as a production executive or a VP of production. And then that way I could continue to build my way up to hopefully be the head of either my own studio once it continues
Mm,
to accelerate and do well, or an established studio. So, yes, I'm extremely
right.
open to either option and hopefully it'll happen.
I mean, this is not on my teleprompter, but it just occurred to me. What about like a nonprofit or something like that? I don't know. Do you do anything like that? Do you have an organization on the side or something like that?
So I don't have my own organization on the side. That is something I've thought about
Mm,
doing. I actually wanted to do a mast cell disease gala. That is something that I would absolutely love to do, and I would love to do it around Mast Cell Disease Awareness Day in October. So yes,
mm,
that is on my radar, and I was actually thinking of trying to do that in conjunction with when the films come out that I
mm,
told you about, Zebras and Hello Darkness.
right.
So fingers crossed, hopefully that will happen.
Well, look, as I say, we are friends in real life, and partly, I want you on my show because you're an amazing guest, but partly also I want help, right? Like I want to like so whatever you're doing, obviously, I'm here to help, and that also transitions into my question for the audience
Mhm.
because people do watch the show, they do, believe me. What can
I
others
know.
do to help you?
I would say that when I start to promote the projects and when they're in production, just like spread the word about it, right? It's all
Mm,
about awareness and advocacy and, letting people know that this is something that you'd be interested in watching. Because I will say there are quite a few content creators that have MCAS, mast cell disease, that have
mm.
like gone viral on the internet. Like people are really curious and interested in this disease for sure.
Well, it's interesting too because I believe at this year's TIFF, it's the opening night film. I think it's called Being Human, or I know some people in the production, but um, it's about a disabled advocate. So it just seems like these issues are really starting to get like mainstream attention.
And that's wonderful, and we need way more of that. I haven't heard about that film yet, but after this, I'm gonna go research about it for
Hmm.
sure, because that's the way to gain more traction about this and get it more out there in the public light. And another thing I did wanna mention that a lot of people don't realize is that 1 in 4 people will become disabled at some point in their lives. Like, it's so common,
Hmm.
it's not that's 25% of the population.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting how things are lining up, and for the TIFF film, it's the writer and director of Coda, and they won Best
Oh,
Picture Oscar. So we can talk offline, but it's exciting. Yeah, so just let me know how I can help. We've got Sara
thank
Krupnick
you.
for one more segment on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Sara Krupnick. Okay, Sarah, look, I'm pretty sure this is version 11 of you, but with AI, you're probably self-replicating. It's probably like 121. I can't keep track. But for all the Sarahs or just one, what is next for you in your career, or personally, or whatever you want to tell us,
Bobby's created the multiverse of me.
right?
Next for me in my career, it's definitely focusing on my scripted project. So it's getting it ready to go out to market to try to attach the talent I would love in the film, the producers, and to hopefully get an independent studio or maybe one of the big studios behind it. And then working on the other films in my slate. But ultimately, I do think my goal is to be the head of a studio that is focusing on all these topics that are important to me and important to the rest of the community, and not just the disabled community. I know people want to see stories that they haven't seen before, so I would love to
Right.
uplift all of those things for sure.
So, what's your dream project or dream job? I mean, you've talked about potentially running a studio or something like that. Like, is there something that you would love to do that we don't know about, or you basically? It seems like you're very on mission, but I just thought I'd open it up.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, the film Hello Darkness, I'm hoping that I'll also get to direct it.
Mhm.
So that is something that I'm really hoping for. So I'm also going to try to do some shorts just to show that I have those skills, and then use that as leverage to propel the other projects on my slate. So yes, I do have a goal and a mission, and it's just
Right.
step by step, like anything else in life.
Well, look, I remember the last time you came on our show, and I was surprised. Like, you really kind of started at the bottom, and you did all these crew positions. You've actually you're a very very experienced member of the film and television industry. So now I met you as a producer through friends, but so I've always seen you that way. But are you looking to segue more into directing, or do you not categorize yourself one way? Like, what does that look like for you?
We call it multi-hyphenate. So I
Right.
think that's what I am. I'm just like a writer, producer, and it'll be like occasional director. Like to
Mhm.
me, the projects that I feel really strongly about directing are the documentary and my scripted film that I told you about. And then I love being a producer. I think I was born to be a producer, as like cliche as that sounds, but it's something I
Right.
really thrive at.
Well, and look, being a producer's additive for everything. Look, and I know you're in LA, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, especially downs recently. But while we're here, can you just give us a temperature check? Like, how's LA doing right now?
Yeah, I think things are finally starting to pick up more, and
Mm.
especially out here in LA, have all these huge sporting events, right? So we just had World Cup, which I was a part of a bit for a large soccer media company, and then we're going to have the Super Bowl, and then we're going to have the Olympics. So I think for sure sports broadcast and live is
Mhm.
just going to keep going up like crazy. And I've also noticed a huge uptick in large social media companies
Mm.
crewing up and with staff positions. So yeah, I think it's starting to get better
Okay,
for sure.
look, that's good. I mean, you were pretty honest about some of your struggles before, so it's exciting to see the optimism. Look, we only have a minute left, let's try and wrap up this episode. We've talked a lot about the disabled community and Hollywood generally. Where do we land here? What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts on this topic, it just goes back to I really think we need to have established leaders out here in Hollywood who are a part of the disabled community or are linked closely to it, that have a family member in the community, and that is the way we're going to make active change to have things be better and more authentic, to have more authentic stories of disability that aren't just like pity or inspiration stories. That's not what we're looking for. We just want to be seen as everyday people just living our lives. We want to see disabled people, journeying through hell and coming out the other end, just being like, oh my God, look at that amazing, badass person. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just going to stand by that. More leaders that can open the doors to disabled creators for sure.
Amazing. Thank you for coming, Sarah. It's not always obvious what people are going through. Empathy is needed, especially now, in a time where the film and television industry has really suffered. We'll see you next time on The Spotlight.